A lot of people in the crypto world, I think, are admirable people. I'm friends with some of them. One you mentioned, actually, people I like and admire and largely agree with. But I'm a little bit confused as to why you're the only person I've ever heard say what you just said. Why aren't the people promoting various cryptocurrencies also sounding the alarm that none of the transactions you conduct using these currencies are private? In fact, they're very easily trackable by government. Why is nobody saying that?
Because the censorship and propaganda works. Lots of people are saying that, but very few people other than myself have a big enough platform or a loud enough voice to get much attention. And because I had such a big, platform and big voice, boom, suddenly I'm looking at 109 years in prison. I don't think that's a coincidence at all. And again, if the solution to ideas or people saying things that you don't agree with is more debate and more discussion and more free speech, whereas the most of the people promoting Bitcoin at this point, they've taken the exact opposite. They've been supporting the propaganda and the censorship, which, I'm on the exact opposite. And in fact, initially when the debate started happening as to what should be the proper scaling method for Bitcoin, my heart was already on what was called like the big block side, but I wanted to be open to the other arguments. And so I was just quiet and started listening. And as I tried to listen, suddenly one side started to try and censor the other side. And I already knew I was on the side of free speech. And so as soon as one side tried to censor the other side, I knew, okay, it's time for me to speak up now. I'm on the side of free speech and I'm on the side of Bitcoin being able to scale in the original way that the Bitcoin white paper described as peer-to-peer cash for the entire world. That's very different than just this speculative asset. And everyone today is excited. Bitcoin's about almost $100,000. Maybe it would have been $100,000 half a decade ago if it hadn't been hijacked and hadn't been destroyed in its usefulness as cash for the world. So you need to look at what's seen and what's not seen. And what we see today, okay, it's close to $100,000. What's not seen is what it could have been if companies like Microsoft and Expedia and these other big companies around the world didn't have to stop accepting Bitcoin because of its slow transaction fees, slow transaction times, and unreliable transactions and lack of privacy as well. So it's really disappointing, but thank you for giving me a platform to help sound the alarm, because I don't want to see the entire world wind up imprisoning themselves inside of some sort of a financial prison that they're building, even if it has a cool sounding name like Bitcoin.
Who is Satoshi?
I don't know. And if anybody knows, I'm not aware of that. But whoever he is or wherever he is, he literally invented one of the most important things in the entire history of humankind, up there on par with how important the invention of electricity or the transistor or the internet was. It really is one of the most world-changing technologies ever. And so whoever he is, wherever he is, or they are, or she is, they deserve their privacy, because clearly that's what they want.
So it doesn't sound like you're suspicious that Bitcoin was created by the intel agencies as a kind of trap for people.
I don't think it was created that way initially, but I am suspicious, and I do think that the intel agencies and other groups have converted it and hijacked it into becoming a financial trap.
I just want to apologize. By the way, I was laughing off camera, saying you're so great at explaining this. No wonder they want to put you in prison. I shouldn't have laughed at that. It's sort of an awful thing to say, because they actually are trying to put you in prison. And so rather than making fun of something so awful, I would love to know if you think you're actually going to go to prison. I mean, is there any way to stop this?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to stop this, but the most useful way, I think, is to get the public to speak out, right? Like, the more people that speak out, the safer all of us can be. And so one of the most egregious things here too is like the IRS with guns on their hips. They literally showed up at my attorney's office and my accountant's office. They raided my attorney's office, right? You're not supposed to be able to do that in the US. Like, you're supposed to be able to talk to your attorneys, and that's supposed to be private. And so all the information is available over at a website that supporters set up at freerogernow.org. They recently filed what's called a motion to dismiss, where you can literally see with your own eyes the U.S. government is literally lying in their indictment, and the proof is up there with the emails between myself and my attorneys. You can go and see. Please go take a look at it. Don't take my word for it. Like, take a look at that motion to dismiss. They're lying. They're lying to the court in Spain. They're just lying every which way, because they don't want the world to know the truth about cryptocurrencies, that they can be used to empower individuals to have control over their own lives beyond the control of politicians who have never met you, and they don't know about you in your life, and most of them don't care about you one bit. So like, the fact that now people anywhere on the planet have access to money that they can use it to escape inflation, or they can use it to escape other oppressionary tactics. Cryptocurrency is an amazing, amazing tool for freedom around the world. And governments are the opposite of freedom. They don't like people having more freedom, and that's why they don't like cryptocurrency, and that's why they're trying to shut me up. I wish I had even more hard proof, but I don't think it's a coincidence. They arrested me as soon as my book came out, and I was about to go on a big media tour promoting the fact that Bitcoin has been hijacked. And suddenly they have me arrested and tossed into jail for a month in Barcelona, and they were furious that I got out on bail. But this is the first media interview I've done since I've been out. I've been out over 6 months now. This is a really, really big deal for the entire world. This isn't just an American thing. This is literally affects every single person on the planet. And so like another example of that is, Apple. People all over the world use iPhones. Apple's an American company, but it affects every single person on the planet. Every year, new Apple products come out. People all over the planet that aren't Americans also get to benefit from it. Americans get to benefit from it. Everybody gets to benefit from it. It's the same with cryptocurrencies. Everybody on the planet, even if it's somebody working on it in the US or Spain or somewhere else, everybody on the planet gets to benefit from it. And by benefit from it, I mean they get to have more control over their own lives, their own finances, and their own financial sovereignty. Governments hate that. That's why they're trying to stop it. And that's why they don't want you to read Hijacking Bitcoin. So you can hear with citations for everything how Bitcoin was hijacked. And people are promoting it today as literally the exact opposite of what it started out as.
I'm a little bit surprised that the government of Spain is honoring the extradition request. I mean, the U.S. government just sent $100 billion to Ukraine without an audit, to the most corrupt country in Europe, $100 billion, didn't even bother to audit it. And a huge percentage is being stolen. We know that. They don't care. So the idea that the U.S. government is so upset that you, a non-citizen, didn't pay U.S. taxes, which you're not even obligated to pay, is like absurd on its face. How did the Spanish government participate in what's obviously a grotesque miscarriage of justice? Why would they play along with this?
If I can interject, not only are they mad about the taxes, I wasn't an American and I wasn't living in the US, right? This is like, it's so crazy. I was not American, not living in the US, and they're claiming I owe them more US taxes on the Bitcoin. Like, it's just absolute insanity. But if you look at it, when there's a political persecution, they just have to make stuff up so they can grab the people. And the most common way they do it is they use the government tax code because it's so incredibly complicated. Even people that want to comply with every last little detail and how the best professionals, like I did myself, it's too complicated. They can get you if they want you, and that's what they do time and time again. And so in regards to the Spanish government, I have an amazing attorney here, Jaime Campanier. I'm really hoping that he's going to be successful here. He's optimistic about the whole situation, but you don't know. And it's a really terrifying way to live day to day. If I win and Spain decides not to extradite me, they'll send me or my attorney a letter and say, congratulations, you're not being extradited. If I lose and they decide to extradite me, they don't tell me in advance. They'll just be a knock at my door one morning, and they'll grab me and they'll put me in jail, and I'll have zero notice whatsoever. I won't be able to return the rental car or tell the landlord or anything else. They'll literally just come to my house, grab me one morning, and I won't know in advance which morning it's going to be. It'll just happen one morning, and so it's not a fun way to live day to day, knowing if this is your last day, not in prison potentially for the rest of your entire life. And I'm cautiously optimistic that Spain will be able to see through this and see that what a politically motivated persecution this is by a bunch of people that are just, jealous. Like, if I hadn't been treated so unfairly politically the last time around when I ran for political office and tried to change the system within, I'd still be, a proud flag-waving American today. And the values of my heart are still some of the most American values there are. And if you think about it, people say, oh, you renounced your U.S. citizenship. That's not very patriotic. Are you kidding? That's exactly the values that America was founded on. It was a bunch of British people that renounced their citizenship and said, I don't like the laws you guys are passing. I'm not going to be a part of this anymore. So renouncing your citizenship is actually one of the most patriotic American-esque things you can possibly do. And I hope the Spanish government will be able to see, like, I've been out there, speaking out to the world about the benefits of cryptocurrency. The U.S. government has the most to lose because the dollar is the world reserve currency, so they like it less than even other governments. This is clearly a politically motivated persecution, and my faith and hope and my dreams are with the Spanish government to not extradite me at this point, and I hope they do the right thing and they can see what's going on. But I also have. Maybe I can beat the whole thing at trial as well, but you never know. You're rolling the dice there, even though I'm completely innocent. But we also could have the Department of Justice and IRS just drop all the charges because I'm completely innocent. And we literally fought this thing all the way to the Supreme Court in regards to my attorney-client privilege documents. When they finally got access to those documents, they were probably mad because it was me literally telling my attorneys, do everything perfectly. I don't want to have any problems. And so they had a big giant letdown. So there was a Supreme Court case in regards to myself. People need to understand how insane it is that the IRS rated my tax attorney their office. How can you raid someone's attorney's office to violate attorney-client privilege in the U.S.? That's the stuff that all the U.S. propaganda wants you to believe goes on in Russia all the time and other countries, but they're doing it right there at home in where I was born and raised in the United States of America. It's insane that that's going on. So President Biden can do the right thing. He just recently, pardoned his son. He can issue a preemptive pardon for me. Trump, when he gets into office, if anybody knows what it's like to be the victim of lawfare, it's Trump. So I think he'll be able to see it in this case as well. He can issue a preemptive pardon for me as well, and a bunch of other people that deserve it. I'm not the only one, right? There's a whole long list of people out there that have been the victim of lawfare, and more often than not, it's people that are engaged in something that the U.S. doesn't like politically. And if you rock the boat and the deep state doesn't like it, they're going to come after you. And I'm just one more in that long list of people that they've attacked and trying to destroy their lives.
If I wasn't in this business, I wouldn't believe any of this. I wouldn't think anything you were saying was true. I've just seen it so often. Just a specific point. Are you allowed to leave Spain, or are you imprisoned by Spain? Can you leave the country?
So no, not only can I not leave the country, I'm on an island in Spain, off the coast of Spain, called Mallorca. I'm not even allowed to leave this island. I'm not allowed to go on a boat. I'm not allowed to do anything. And every 48 hours, I have to check in with the court and show them my ID and prove that I didn't run away. And again, any day could be my last year. If they decide they are going to extradite me, they'll just show up unannounced and arrest me here in Spain and put me back in the Spanish prison, and then at some point ship me to the U.S. Prison as well. And so that's like a pretty nerve-wracking way to live day after day here in Spain. So Spain's a wonderful country, but I would love to be here voluntarily.
It's shocking that Spain can act as the jailers for the U.S. government on transparently fake charges. So you already spent a month in Spanish prison? What was that like?
My Spanish is certainly better than it was before that happened.
I bet. You know prison slang.
Yeah, and it actually, because I'm such a clean-cut, well-spoken guy, there were a couple of other people in the prison started to think I must be some sort of an American undercover spy spying on the prison. So like some of the other inmates were really wary of me and didn't want to speak to me. And luckily nobody, found out who I was or what my role was in regards to cryptocurrency. But some people were awfully suspicious of me, and I was very glad to get out when I finally did. And the U.S. government was very angry that they granted me bail here in Spain. They wanted to hold me in jail in Spain the entire time, in a country, I think this was only the second time I'd ever even visited Spain ever. I thought I was only going to be here for 4 days. There was a cryptocurrency conference about privacy cryptocurrencies here, about Zeno and Monero and things like that. I thought I was just going to be here for that. And I was in the hotel lobby after the conference, and some guy I didn't know came up to me with a thick Spanish accent and said, "Are you Roger Ver?" And I said, "Yes." And Roger Ver, yes. And like 3 or 4 times back and forth. And when I finally convinced him that I was Roger Ver and we had overcome the language barrier, and I thought he was a crypto guy and wanted to ask for like a, autograph copy of my book or talk about crypto or something. Then he pulled out his badge and said that he has an Interpol arrest warrant. And they arrested me right there in the lobby of the hotel in Barcelona and hauled me off to jail in Spain. And boy, was I not expecting that one bit to happen. And talk about having your world turned upside down. But it just makes me even more motivated because cryptocurrencies are such an powerful tool for every human being on the planet. How could I not be quiet about spreading this good message to everybody around the world? So congratulations, America. You made me even more motivated to spread cryptocurrency adoption to the world.
That is just one of the craziest stories I think I've ever heard. Roger, Godspeed. We are just rooting for you fervently, and I hope this helps in some small way. Anyway, you're in our thoughts. Thank you.
My pleasure, Tucker. And if I can ask people that want to show their support, please head over to freerogernow.org, and I would deeply appreciate that.
Thank you. Good luck.